We may be living in the 21st century with artificial intelligence, advanced infrastructure, high-speed transportation, digital economies, and nuclear weapons. Yet, despite such massive technological advancement, it is difficult to say that humanity has become equally civilized. The modern world is not facing an economic crisis because we became too advanced. It is suffering because a few powerful minds still think like Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Napoleon, and Samrat Ashoka, where power was measured through conquest, conflict, and control. Only the battlefield has changed. Today, wars are fought through energy, oil, trade routes, markets, and economic pressure, affecting billions through inflation, fuel insecurity, and economic instability. Myself, Sanjay Kundu, have tried to analyze and dissect the global energy crisis and the forces shaping it, to understand its impact on economies and people across our subcontinent, based on the concerns and statements repeatedly raised by our Prime Minister, political leaders, economists, and world leaders. In today's world, energy is no longer just a resource. It is the foundation of economic stability, industrial growth, and national resilience. From the perspective of economics and commerce, this is where the energy framework comes into focus. Known as the Strategic Macroeconomic Framework for Energy Security and Market Stabilization, it is a model used by major governments to understand, manage, and respond to energy-related risks. The framework explains how energy, markets, industry, diplomacy, and economic policy are all deeply interconnected in maintaining national stability and the smooth functioning of everyday life.
At the center of this framework lies one defining challenge: the global energy crisis. To understand its impact, we must examine the critical pillars of modern economies: fuel, electricity, oil and gas, production, reserves, industry, consumption, markets, diplomacy, and the broader economy itself. Experts describe this relationship through what is often called the economist's formula, a delicate balancing act, where the stability of citizens' lives depends on how effectively the ministries of finance, commerce, industry, and external affairs work together. Because in today's era, energy security is no longer only about keeping the lights on. It now directly shapes inflation, trade, industrial growth, market confidence, and the resilience of nations themselves. Now, let's discuss this in the context of our nation, India, and the Indian economy. Some sectors are doing well until man-made crises, like wars, disrupt the balance. Some remain stable, but a few critical sectors are already entering the deep red zone. And the worrying part is that governments are still reluctant to fully acknowledge it. Fuel remains India's biggest vulnerability. Heavy dependence on imported oil and gas exposes the country to global price shocks and geopolitical instability. Electricity, however, is one of India's greatest strengths. The nation's massive power grid and rapid electrification continue to support millions. But rising population, urbanization, industries, digital growth, and cooling demand are rapidly increasing energy consumption.
This is placing pressure on industries, transport, manufacturing, MSMEs, steel, cement, and exports, all of which depend on reliable and affordable energy. The economy itself faces the largest risk. Energy prices directly influence inflation, transport costs, food prices, subsidies, trade deficits, and overall economic stability. When fuel prices rise, every citizen feels the impact. Oil remains a top concern, with nearly 85% of crude being imported. Natural gas is equally critical for fertilizers, industries, power, and cooking, but costly LNG imports and uneven infrastructure remain major challenges. India does maintain coal, petroleum, and forex reserves, providing some protection during disruptions. But prolonged global crises could still become economically dangerous very quickly. And now, diplomacy has become central to energy security. Strategic ties with the Gulf, the United States, Central Asia, and Africa are becoming increasingly vital for securing partnerships in oil, gas, and renewable energy. However, India's sudden shift in foreign policy, particularly in light of the new U.S. trade deal, has raised concerns. This realignment, which appears to be drifting us away from our long-standing energy as well as defense ties with Russia, is viewed as one of the larger threats to our ability to meet future energy demands. Though there is no full-scale crisis yet, speculation, hoarding, and uncertainty are growing, and many citizens fear another large-scale disruption similar to the Corona period. The reality is simple. Energy security is no longer only about power. It is directly connected to economic stability, national resilience, and the daily lives of billions. Thank you for your time and for listening. Myself, Sanjay Kundu, sharing my analysis on the energy situation arising from the Hormuz conflict from an Indian perspective.